Hi there, Tim Larson here with another YouTube tutorial. How are y'all doing? I'm just fine. I'm in the process of wrapping up the latest Kickstarter I've been working on for Mayfield 8, getting the last variant covers colored. The process I use to color these makes for a very good tutorial subject, which I'll share with you today. I like to call it rough color. Now, we've all had the same problem with coloring a comic book page, namely, how can I go faster with it? The truth is, you could just go faster if you felt like it, but it wouldn't look very good. You look kind of rushed, and the color choices would be bad and kind of garish. I'm going to show you how to get around this, and that is in the use of a roughly colored layer that gets the colors in a harmonic way, and that later you can clean up. Let's open up one of these variant covers, and we'll begin. I'll show you right now. I have a document here with it's ready for coloring, and I'm going to demonstrate using what I call rough color. Now, you could always go in, like zooming into the image here, you could always, start coloring things like the face and the sheriff's star and the gun, the mountains in the background, the windshield of the car. You can always do these one by one by one in the your finished document, and hopefully you get the colors you want. But what I find is really frustrating is that you start doing this method, and no sooner did you get a section or two colored that the colors look very garish and they don't really work together well, and you really want to do something that will just tie it together quickly and not make this into a really frustrating project where you can't proceed. So this technique is one where you go ahead and you're willing to color in your Photoshop comic book document, whether it's a page from your comic book, your cover, it doesn't matter. You're willing to color this in a very messy kind of way. And the purpose of that is to just have something that has the colors about right where you want them to be. But you're not really too concerned with keeping everything inside the lines. That's going to come later. Okay? So if you're with me on that so far, let me show you the breakdown of the layers here. The colored line, you have the black lines. The black lines are set to multiply. Here, I'll unlock that so you can see it a little better. Multiply as opposed to normal. What multiply will do is allow you to color in anything underneath it, and whatever is white is going to be transparent. Okay? And that's a really cool way that you can have this document that's ready to go. You don't have to remove the white areas to be able to see the color that's going to start forming underneath it. And generally, the black lines, this should be something that's correct. Everything you need to have is in there, so you can go right ahead and just lock that layer so that you don't accidentally start putting color in there. The color is going to go underneath it here. Obviously, it's called color. Then I got this other one here called colored line. What this is, it's taking all the lines that are in your comic book page that will become colors, and you separate them from the black line image, and you create a layer mask. And what that is you're covering over anything that is not the line itself, so that when you start coloring on the colored line layer using colors, you're actually changing the colors of the lines themselves. Okay? And then lastly, this is kind of like a reference layer that's going to be used temporarily. It's not part of the finished comic book, but I call it color pick, and that is just a little thumbnail thing with all the pertinent information. In this case, I'll have my police officer's uniform from pages of the comic book that he appeared in, the car, his patrol car, and then some of the motorcycle club members' colors in their jackets and the logo. That's what is on here, and this is locked in the sense that the image pixels are locked, but you can move this around, okay? And also you can turn it on and off when you want to need to see it and when you don't want to see it. One last thing I have is the on my mouse, the mouse wheel has got this special. I'll put the link to download this app in the comments below. USB Overdrive, it's called, and what it does, it can customize your mouse. In the case of my mouse, I like to use the wheel up and wheel down. Okay, and right here I got left bracket and right bracket. Now in Photoshop on your keyboard, the left bracket and right bracket makes your paintbrush tip bigger and smaller. And what I utilize this for is to, when this is turned on and I'm selecting the paintbrush tool, let's say I can go in the layer I can paint in, and I'll just go ahead and just like pick bright red here and just paint bright red on this layer. Okay, but then I'll make the brush tip smaller. I'm moving the mouse wheel to do this. Okay, like let's say I had a flesh tone color for his face, and I was coloring this in, his hands and stuff, and let's say I was doing something like the belt here, and I wanted to make it smaller, and I was doing a belt buckle, make it smaller still. I'm just moving the mouse wheel around for that. So and let's pick white and just kind of erase all that. Okay, so that is the only real customization I do. And no, I don't want to do brush tips. I don't want to get into that whole can of worms, because we're going to be mixing together these colors with different layers or different levels of opacity, and I don't really need to. It's going to be such a mixture here that I don't need to worry about the brush tip shape all that much. Okay. Now, before I start coloring, I want to think about this page here. What time of day is it going to be? Is it mid-afternoon? Is it sunset? I'm thinking like maybe an overall kind of orangey cast, like it is getting close to sunset, late in the afternoon. The colors can kind of blend together a little more. And I'm thinking this probably up here is going to have a title or some kind of words that's going to be a lot of red. So red with a golden color cast is going to look nice. That can happen later on as I'm coloring it. I don't have to necessarily do color matching right off the bat, right off the get-go. I can just do just this kind of mechanical filling in colors I think will work. They can be adjusted later on the fly. That's one of the nice things about doing a rough color version, rough color layer, is that you can play around with how the colors mix together. So anyway, let me begin with this, and what I think I'll do to simplify things is just go right ahead and work on the sky in the back there. Let's just pick a blue, because, you know, duh, skies are blue, okay? Like, I know I was saying golden and stuff, but let's just kind of make it a little bit raw and just get going here. I'm going to pick a tan for the mountains. The officer's uniform is going to be tan. Let's make this more chalky. There we go. And then anywhere where there's the ground. So if you see people, that this is exactly kind of the aesthetic you're going to be following. Things are, they're not going to follow the edges nice and tight, not yet at least. And so that's a good base to start with. Then there's a few things I do know, like the Banshees Motorcycle Club colors, and the officer, his colors. That's going to be in the color picker. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on now. Okay, and this was made by just doing a screen grab of pages from the comic book and creating a contact sheet. I think, yeah, you can go ahead and make it larger too. The pixel's locked here. That means I can't paint on this layer. And you ask me, why do you do that, Tim? Well, it's really frustrating to be accidentally painting on the wrong layer. And you're saving your document. Maybe you're done and you deleted this layer, and then you go, well, what happened to my paint? Oh, god damn it, I painted on the wrong layer. That happens so often in Photoshop that you want to lock layers off that are never going to get colored, and then you want to, like on something that's this is going to be reference, that you can go ahead and move around, and but you don't want to, you're not going to save it, so you don't want to paint on it. So then you lock the pixels on it, okay? If that makes any sense. Also, you can go off the edge there, and it doesn't disappear necessarily, it just, you can't see it. And if it's in your way, you can turn off that little eyeball icon, and boom, you know, you're working on that instead. So anyway, let me move this down like that, and pick my paintbrush, 100% opacity, and pick a part of his uniform, and then hitting the Command key and right click, and it will say black lines and color. We'll go to color. And I'm thinking, like, if you look at his face here, I'm thinking like maybe a light on the left side, shadows on the right. And you go, okay, Tim, I see what you mean. That looks really rough. Okay. By no means is this going to be the final color I go with. I'm just laying stuff in, just laying ideas in, okay? And then we have, I hit the Option key, hit this layer. I'm back on that color pick layer, but now I can move it around. And how about the police car? Let's make this larger still so I can see what I'm doing here. Okay, that's good. Hit return, all right. And then we'll paintbrush, Option key, eyedropper, we can pick the color off of there. And then right click, Command key, color. And then you go, oh my god, you know, that's pretty garish. But that's okay, because we're just laying it in. All right. And what really frustrates me in coloring anything in a comic book is forgetting details. Like, for instance, the police car here. How exactly is it? Is it the white hood and white doors, but is the roof white? And I look at these panel grabs from the comic book pages, and I go, no, definitely the roof is the dark color. In this case, kind of a blue. And then the hood is white. It's kind of a, in the comic book pages, it's more of a beige. And then we got the badge, the logo from New Mexico. And that, I think I can just pick like a generic yellow. There we go. Maybe go a little darker. Okay. But you can see how in the first couple stages here, you're just laying stuff in and it looks really, really rough. And really, that's all I'm going to say. Let's just go right ahead and start coloring stuff in, and we'll just speed the time up and see what we got. and I showed you, briefly a time lapse of just putting it in. You can see how I have put in basically the patches of color as they should be. They're not lined up neatly inside their edges. Everything is rough, as this tutorial implies, okay? Like the skin tones, the flesh tones here are very just out of the crayon box, kind of direct Caucasian skin, and the uniform is tan and brown. The reflection on the chrome is blue and white. Everything is just very garish and direct and blunt, and it has just a direct relationship with the color that I'm trying to represent here. Now, the trick is to take all of this in and get it closer to what you want for the finished product. You want something that kind of, in this case, I'm thinking of something that gives you the feeling of warmth, of a sunset, the end of the day, maybe the end of the line for the police officers being surrounded by all these bikers who are attacking him, and it's just him and his shotgun. So it looks like an even match, right? Okay, so I'm trying to think of, like, I don't want high noon, I don't want bright colors, I want the eye to be invited in. There's going to be a nice kind of three-tier thing. There's going to be the three guys in front. Mid part is all the action with Officer Gene Sturgeon here, and the three more bikers, and then way in the background will be the mountain range and the sky. So how do I get all this to kind of tie together, and how do I pick and choose where my light's going to land? Right off the top of my head, I'm thinking slightly in shade for the guys in front here, with the light really hitting the officer in the middle part there, and maybe some more laid back darker tones in the background here. So let's begin here. First of all, let me move my window so I can fit inside the screen. Okay. All right. So I have my brush tip. I have that thing with the mouse turned on, so I can move the brush size up and down. And I'm working with just one color layer. Let me shut off the other ones here. Here's the color layer. That's what I'm working into. And I'll show you the other. These are all the black lines, okay? And then here's all the colored lines. And maybe I'll work in that first. I'll go ahead and choose 100% brush. I want the Banshees logos to be red. Maybe a lighter blue for the headlamps and the police beacon. And I shut off the color picker thing. Okay. So all right, fair enough. Now let's get into the color layer, and let's see. I'm gonna maybe knock this down to 30%, and let's pick a color that's kind of yellowy. There we go. Little saffron kind of color. And what I'm doing is I'm using the Option key and hitting the color picker and getting the color and blending it in. Everything is at 30%. Now these guys in front here, let's pick something Maybe a brown, and see what happens if I just go over everything. And it's really fun when you work like this, when you knock down the opacity. There we go. I'm starting to see now the ground popping out a little bit more. Let's try brightening up the Officer Sturgeon's uniform a little bit. Okay, and then the car. Highlight the blues. Okay, and then yeah, the mountain range in the background. I actually got kind of a green going on. But I'm talking, when I said like sunset in the evening, so it almost would be, I don't really know what it would be. Let's keep on going here until I can, there, okay, that's not too bad. And it's like you have the opacity set at 30%, keep laying colors in until you got something you like, then knock it back up to 100%, color pick, and then let's go ahead and fill that in. Whoops. I colored in the biker too much. That's where the Control Z, that's the back, the mistake key. There we go. So you see the technique here is that I'm putting in colors that shade things. That's what that term is called. When you're shading, you're adding something that lowers its intensity. Now I'm going to move it, the brush opacity to 50%, okay? And the nice thing about the 50% setting is that you just need like 2 clicks on the mouse to get 100% coverage. And now I'm just kind of playing around, moving colors around. The mountains in the background I'm not too happy about. Let's try something, anything. Let's even blue. There has to be some color. There we go. You have to forgive me, the color picking thing. I wish that Photoshop had a way you could lock these samples in their space. It is so easy to accidentally pick it and then move it in a different spot inside the palette. And I'm really frustrated with that feature. Because I go look at my palette again and something's wonky. I went in and I named every pixel here A, B, C, D rows, and then column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Just so if they get mixed up, I know where they really belong. Here we go. Okay. That's working better for color. I'm looking for this kind of rosy, sunset-y kind of thing. Again, it kind of conflicts with the officer's uniform. I don't want to lose it, the uniform in there. Another great tip is if you see colors like this little kind of yellowy color for the sky, I picked it down here, okay, because it's already in the image. And the more you take colors that are already in the image, the more coherent your drawing is going to look, or your comic book coloring. Whoa! Hang on, that was too big of a jump. There's going to be lettering up here too, so I'm picturing either yellow or red lettering. Now these guys in front here, let's go back to 30% and maybe go as bold as like turning some things into more of a reddish color, possibly. Yeah, that's better. And let's look at these guys a little closer. And then there's a trinket here. Okay. And you always want to pull back like this. You want to pull back once in a while and just kind of take an assessment here of where things are going. And ask yourself, is this getting close? Is it what I really want? Here's the windshield that has a blue reflection, but you see the sky is like a dusty, cloudy yellow. So let's pick a color up there and go back to the windshield and maybe put that in. Because it will be reflecting up at the sky, going even as far as the clear. I don't know. We have this seat back here. One trick is to take this color you have with the foreground color tool and click that. Now you have this little pop-up window where you are in the color map, and you can move it around. I got it set to hue, so, and if you take this dot where you are and you move it down a little more, you see the new color here. It's like a kind of a blue-green. You hit OK, and then I'm painting this part here. This here, the seat. The seat is darker. Yeah, in fact, might be actually a little bit of tan in the background here, because that's the, if you see through it, well, actually there's this dude here. Okay, so maybe make it darker still over here so that he makes sense. Okay. Restore that roof. There's the armature, the grill of the patrol car. The lights. Let's back off a little bit now. You can start to see how this is kind of turning into a desert sunset-y kind of image, and it's getting well far away from that garish, bold color. And this is, it's not a bad stopping point for me to just kind of conclude this tutorial by showing you that through just simply using the opacity, okay, that's how dense the color is. Like, let's say you take a window and a bucket of black paint and you paint it black. So the window is 100% opaque, all right? Now let's say you take some, I don't know, some raspberry punch and you paint the window with it, okay? Now the window's tinted red, but you can still see through it. So that punch had, let's say like 20% opacity, okay? So the color you choose in Photoshop doesn't have to be the right perfect color that you pick right off the bat. In fact, if you work that way with a flatted page with the sections laid out for you and you're coloring them one by one by one, if you're like me, you'll start going crazy, because then you're filling colors for the face, the hair, the cup of coffee on the table, the table surrounding the cup of coffee, the wall in the background, the plant near the wall. And one by one by one, you have to make these choices for color. And again, if you're like me, working that way would just drive you crazy. It'd drive me crazy. Because how do you pick the right color for the one little object that you're seeing by itself without seeing everything as a whole put together? So that's why I came up with this idea of using the rough color. Let me shut the other layers off here. Okay, this is really what I'm working on. I'm just kind of getting the feel right. See the bikers? You can almost see them now. They're kind of dark in the foreground here. We have a midground, and then the background, and then that sky. I intentionally started with the blue, like you think as a child. Normally skies are blue, but I went ahead and just kind of knocked it down a little bit, made it more dusty, more yellowy, and that's a very fast way to just kind of lay the stuff in here. The next step then is, once you have this like 90%, like if I zoom so far back you can't tell it's messy, but this would kind of be the colors of the poster. If you get to that point, then you're ready to do a process where, I'll show this in a later tutorial, a process where you take this here color layer and you make several copies. You make 8, 9, 10, 12 copies of the same thing, and then in each layer you'll have parts of it cut out. Like, say for example, the top layer might have this guy's wristwatch, the star badge, the patches, you know what I mean, like the detail stuff, okay? Then the rest will be masked out. But when you look at all the color layers put together, you'll still have this messiness. So the magic is in the cleaning up process. With all these layers put together, cutting out different parts of it, you'll be able to click into the layer with the details like the star and the buttons and the wristwatch and clean that up. Then go to the layer with the arm, then go to the layer with the uniform, then go to the layer with the sky in the background and the mountains. And it's really just a matter of aligning the colors correctly and cleaning things up. It is not a matter of picking the right color. And that's the crucial part, because in this document right now, with the messy rough color, I have pretty darn close to the colors I want, with a little bit of adjustments here and there. Now it's a matter of just cleaning it up and putting everything in the right cells and getting the edges all aligned. I hope that this has been useful for people watching this, and remember to subscribe to this channel for more tutorials, and that is it for now. Thank you. All right, I hope that imparted a bit of wisdom for you all. One of the key aspects of Photoshop is that you can always let it get too complicated if you allow it. Rough color is my way to establish where you want the color to land, keeping it all on one layer, one simple thing. And I like that a lot, how it really gives you a lot more confidence when you're ready to go through the process of using the flatted document and cleaning up those layers. As always, I include in the second half of these tutorials a quick critique of an up-and-coming comic book artist. This time, it's a man going up against giants in the story in a kind of Jack Kirby-esque 4-pager by M. Risley. By the tag M_Risley, like Risley with a W, R-I-Z-Z-L-Y. And I haven't read this before, so I'm going to read this along with you guys. I got pretty good vision on my screen, so don't worry if the text is too small on your YouTube playback. I can read it pretty good here. But let's start out. We have a guy who yells, "No, I'm late. Giants are here. And because of my arrogance, gods took my power. Now we're doomed. I was fool. I made mistakes, I know that, but please, they're bringing death and chaos. If no one will stop them, I am begging you, give me my power back." Da-dum. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Kaboom! Oh, where'd that come from? Did he call his power? Oh, no, he turned into this super guy. Okay. And the gods fight him. They try to squish him. He frees himself, ripping his hands apart or something. And then, blasts his way right through the guy's skull. Oh my god. So now we're down to one god, I guess. And then he's taking a boulder. Okay. And he punches him. Oh, no, he just climbed out and punched the guy. Comes down. Now he's got two giants down, wearing a superhero outfit. He won the day. Okay. Pretty simple. Let's begin at the beginning here. I like the colors here a lot. The blues, the grays, it really pulls me in. I can talk about the technical stuff that are kind of holding it back later, but let's talk about the positive stuff. The colors are really good. Establishment shot of your hero right here. That too works out really well. And then the giants in the background. So we got the setup in the first two panels. And then the side view here of him. Let's try going in. Yeah. The side view where he's looking down and worried, and boom, he's made mistakes. It's kind of like a Thor kind of storyline where he's a weakling as a normal person. Now he has to change into the powerful one. I'm talking about the old school comic book Thor, not the movie Thor. He's kind of just stays the Thunder God all the time. He's pseudo not superhero, but then when he goes into superhero mode, he pretty much is the same dude. The original Mighty Thor was this weak doctor who walked around on a cane because he was lame, and when he'd slam the cane on the ground, he'd become Thor. Zoom back, okay. And then in his eyes, we get the da-dum. All right. So this page as a setup is actually pretty clever. You know, he's got his problem. It'd be better kind of if he was looking up, maybe, and could see the giants. Okay. But other than that, you know, we do have the setup with the villains, and then him trying to get his power. Then we have the kind of the giant's point of view almost, or above the ground, looking down at him, and then into the eye. And this is really cool, except it's not seen right away, the transformation. I get it by the time I read the next page. This will be page 2, page 3. I get it that he's in superhero mode, but it's not obvious that that's what happened in this particular panel. And I don't know how you could maybe remedy that. maybe put his body in here a little bit, or sometimes like you look at the classic old Incredible Hulk cover where Bruce Banner, he's a small guy in the foreground, and then behind him, kind of with dotted lines, is the shape of the Hulk behind him. There's that implied idea that he went like boom, 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 and turned into the Hulk. So maybe you could try something like that here. We'll put his body in there, a little small and then big maybe. Now the giant's surprised, reacting to this explosion thing, and then he flies out and does the battle. And let's look at the battle here. A little closer, if we can. And yeah, so I see how we have the fighting, and he's grabbing the guy. This is something in comics that you can do a lot. You can get away with huge transitions in time, and that don't really connect smoothly like an animated cartoon. Like, he's punching him, he's grabbed. And there's a lot of stuff that must have happened between then, but because this is a fight scene, you can skip it. You can just show the essentials, okay? And that's one of the benefits of a comic book fight scene, is that you can really skip around, and the reader's imagination, at least my imagination, kind of gets it. The only thing is that I know that there's two monsters right here, so I'm wondering what the other one's up to. That's in the back of my mind when there's this fight going on. But I love how he's freed, okay? And then this right here is a little bit tricky. Let's zoom in again. No, pardon me here. Let's see if I can move. There we go. Okay. This is a little problematic. I'm not really sure. He's freed, okay? But then he's supposed to go boom right into this giant skull and out again. And that's a little tough for me to read these two panels together and get that flip just so. And I don't know how you could remedy that one. Maybe maybe if the other giant were looking at his friend, who had this happen to him. Or here's another idea, that you could have this guy turn to a ball and going straight into the giant's skull with the same point of view in this panel as in that one. And then you would have maybe this kind of panel could be moved down there, so that we're inserting an extra panel. I'm just thinking out loud here how to solve this problem right here. So like, let's say we had this exact same panel pretty much in this one here, only he's zooming through and hitting him right in between the eyes. Boom. And then this image, move it down there. Okay? And then while he's flying, he could get swatted in the last image here. So I guess it's a question of either inserting another image to make this make sense, or to change the angle, change the approach, so that we can get that. And this part with the swatting, what exactly did he hit here? Was that a tree or a cactus or something? And this here is really good. I think, Mr. Risley, you got really good. You're going for Kirby-esque, obviously, like Jack Kirby. And you're succeeding in like that kind of a thing with the hand, the huge hand in the foreground. Don't have to draw the rest of the arm and everything. It's implied that, boom, that's him. Jack Kirby was known for just starting out a page and drawing like 2 feet, 2 fists, and then connecting them into a tiny head in the background, and suddenly everything's on the page. Boom. He didn't do any preliminary sketching. He didn't draw the whole body together as one unit. He just started penciling from end to end and got the job done. That's the amazing thing about his ability to envision things, and I think it comes from just drawing thousands and thousands of comics in your career. You just get used to it. You get so used to it that becomes second nature. Then we go to the last page here, and again, this is a really good pose. This is Kirby-esque all the way right here with this. There we go. This guy right here, just slam. And the first monster's punched into outer space. The second one's getting hit. And something happened where he's thrown into a brown pit. A pit of shit. I don't know what's happening here. And he's in the superheroes hovering. So I think you got some really good poses here. And the sequentials, I would say this thing works okay. But it's just a question of just doing more pages and getting a little bit more of a good logic going with the fight scenes. The good news is that stuff like this with the fists grabbing the hand, grabbing the guy, you can go ahead and jump ahead. I think it's just in parts of the fighting where it's a little unclear. Did we jump ahead in time? Are we in a totally different point of view or not? That's when it gets a little bit muddy. And I'd say just keep on working on your stuff. Now let's go back to, we'll finish up here on the first page here. And again, the font choices, hire a letterer or learn lettering. This is not so hot. Okay. It almost would be better if there wasn't any sound at all, no words at all, because we have fonts that don't really belong in a comic. We have font sizes that are moving around. At least it looks like it's all the same font, but typically you keep them all capitals. Lowercase, there are some comics that are done with lowercase, and that's fine. Usually they tend to be kind of low-key, quieter stories that aren't full of action. This is a full of action kind of story, so all capitals might have been better. I think when I started doing lettering, the first thing I tried to do was look at actual pages and measure them with my ruler, and even just like scan them or take a picture of them and put them up on my computer. And then my actual comic book page, I would overlay it, maybe knock down that opacity so I could see through it, and then change the font size so it matched the font that was on the professional page. And that, I think I learned a lot with that. There's a whole school of learning for lettering that you can pick up on, and that really is not my place to direct you in the right direction for doing that. I'm just saying that in terms of this comic here, right now the lettering's really holding it back. Not the word, the dialogue's fine. It's just that the approach, the level, the technical level is kind of difficult. And I guess that's all I have to say about it. Great color choices. Take more chances. Draw more pages, Risley, and we will hopefully see you some more on Reddit. Thank you. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel to get the latest new comic book tutorials. Also, you can check out my comic book, Mayfield 8, which is basically like a biker story. Think kind of like elements of Sons of Anarchy mixed with maybe Breaking Bad. In fact, it's set in the city of Albuquerque as an homage to Breaking Bad. I'm wrapping up a Kickstarter, getting parts 3 and 4 out to the public. I got parts 1 and 2 on my storefront site. You just simply got to go buy.timsnotebook.com. It'll take you right to it where you can get yourself a hard copy of Mayfield 8 Into the Rat Hole, and then Mayfield 8 White Meat. Into the Rat Hole is the story of a 17-year-old kid who goes up against biker gangs as he's trying to go on a road trip to Mexico to celebrate his birthday. And then White Meat is kind of like the result of confronting them right in their own biker bar called the Rat Hole. Let me show you like an aerial view, and then stepping inside. There you go. Not safe for work, okay. All right. Thank you very much for watching this, and I'll see you again next time.